And this morning, we're going to hear from an awesome student group who is going to be launching a new club based on their work last year. I'm going to turn things over to the robotics team.
All right. Okay, we're Bay Robotics, a robotics team consisting of high school students from the Bay School of San Francisco. We started this team last year as a small group of students with the goal of competing in the FIRST Robotics Competition. And we worked really hard during build season, and when regionals started, we competed in the San Francisco regionals and made it all the way to championships. Thank you. Last year was amazing for the whole team, and we'd like to share with you our experience as a rookie team last year and our hopes for the future of this team at Bay. Oh, next slide. So the FIRST Robotics Competition is a robotics competition where high schoolers are given 3 months to build a robot to compete with and against other teams, to complete a set of specific tasks, earn points, and win matches. The tasks often include some sort of object and a goal. Last year, the task was to put a ball in a sort of hoop, and the robotics generally end up weighing from around 100 to 120 pounds and can be up to 6 feet tall. After build season, teams compete in regionals and then hopefully make it all the way to championships, where students meet and interact with other teams from around the world. Also, it's not just engineering and coding. There's also there's so much students can do to help, including fundraising and before the build season, and participating in community outreach. And then next, we have a video just explaining more about the FIRST Robotics Competition in a little bit more detail.
FIRST Robotics Competition is one of 3 engaging FIRST programs.
FIRST Robotics Competition is a robotics competition for high school age students where they self-design and construct semi-autonomous competitive machines.
Manufacturing the robot, working with metal, working with wood, prototyping, electronics for soldering.
You're learning together, and then you go to competitions where you get to see what you worked hard on.
There's no blueprint. We get a few rules and guidelines to follow, and then it's up to the students to find something that works.
There's nothing better than just seeing your robot on the field playing for the first time. They're all there like, is it gonna work? Is it gonna work? And then when it works, it's the best feeling ever.
You have mentors that are actually in the field that can tell you, oh, this is why this works, and this is the science behind it. And you're like, oh wow, that makes so much sense.
They do a great job, not just about STEM, but about life, how to go through college, how to go through, a tough, physics class.
At face value, FIRST Robotics Competition is a robot competition, but at the end of the day, it's so much more than that.
People ask me like, you build robots? I says, no, we're really running a business and all the things that go along with that.
We deal with a lot of marketing, social media,
problem solving, working in groups.
I'm learning how to communicate with people, how to reach out to local businesses.
So we kind of have robotics as the starting point, but we branch out to different areas and expand.
Yeah. So next, I'm going to hand it over to Jacob, who's going to talk a little bit about the build process.
Slide. Build process. Next slide. So this year the challenge was to build a robot that could put these balls, these massive tennis balls that you see here, in 2 of those hoops. If you play the video. And then at the end, climb the bars. You can see here in the video. So that's what we had to make our robot do. Next slide. After building, we started building the mechanism to shoot the balls. We slapped on some wood together just to get a rough idea of what our design would need to look like. Next slide. And from there, we made iterations on the design. Next slide. Each time something broke or didn't work, we learned. Next slide. Next slide. And that's really how we built our robot, just testing and learning from that, which resulted in a great learning experience. Next slide. Eventually got a working robot, but not really, because our system for climbing worked, but the problem was that when it climbed, the robot would tip backwards and touch the ground, which it's not allowed to do. Next slide. So we had a crazy time crunch, and in the last 2 hours before taking our robot to the competition, next slide, we had to measure the center of gravity of the robot and then do some math to determine where the arms needed to go, and then after that, we had to build them. So that was a crazy time crunch. So you see the highlighted arms there. Yeah, we had to build those in like 2 hours. Then after that, we headed off to the competition. Next slide.
So after the build season, we went to San Francisco Regionals, which were held at St. Ignatius. Can you go to the next slide? Here's us loading up. We played against okay, hold on. Okay, we played against about 40-ish teams. Most are from California, some were from like outside of the country. And next slide. And we ran into a few issues, so.
How was it on fire?
At one point we had like a motor burnout and there's kind of smoke everywhere. And if you ever smell a burnt out motor, it's awful and not pleasant. But like we replaced it, so it was fine. And next slide. And then we had another issue where somebody wrote some faulty code, maybe Jaden, which sent the robot full speed into a pole. It kind of bent it, like the most important part, in half, which kind of sucked. But we also replaced that, and like throughout all of these issues, a lot of the other teams were really helpful and just overall really supportive, helping us figure out what went wrong and how to fix it. So it was pretty fun overall, I'd say. Next slide. We placed 39th out of 41 with 3 wins and 9 losses, which, okay, if you think about it, it's not that bad. We were a new team, okay? We had like 6 people. I'm proud of it, okay? It's not bad. And next thing, we won the Rookie All-Star Award, which was pretty cool. It's essentially an award for the rookie team with the most potential. So, yeah, I'm proud of that too. That was cool.
Okay, World Championships. So, like 1 week before the World Champions started, we got an email because we got Rookie All-Star saying that we were invited. So we ended up going, and it was really nice because all of our effort paid off, and we actually went. Next slide, please. So there were 450 teams there, and there's a wide range of people on all of those teams, ranging from like small teams like ours, like 5 or 6 people, to upwards of 80 people on a team. And it was crazy how many people were there. There were tens of thousands of people spectating, building, and more. And in the circle right there, that's our pit. And yeah, there was a lot of pits. That's about half the pits, I would say. Next slide, please. I would say it was definitely fun enough lifting. After coming near bottom and having a ton of issues at the last competition, I felt personally really dejected and had doubts about going. But now I'm really glad that I did go. We still had a lot of issues. Our robot broke almost every match, which was a bit, yeah. But what I really liked was a lot of the teams that have been doing this for years all helped out and no questions asked. Like if we needed a new part, we can just ask them and they would give it to us. Or if another team needed a part from us, we could help them and figure it out. And we met like a lot of people from all over the U.S. and other countries. Next slide. And we actually did pretty decently. After getting through the competition, we got 49th out of 76 in our division. And we won 5, we lost 5, and we were the highest ranked rookies in our division. Yeah. Do you want? Okay, next slide, and then next slide, I think.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for listening. If you are at all interested in participating in this team next year, you can email either of these email addresses or go to our website and contact us there. Remember, there is no previous experience required to join. Most of the students on our team last year had little to no experience with robotics and coding and whatnot, and so. But with the help of our mentors, and just working together and learning together, we were able to figure it out. Also, the build season starts in January, but we've started meeting during Thursday at tutorial from 2:25 to 3. Our first official team meeting is tomorrow. We could really use your help preparing for this year's competition, and if you're at all interested, consider stopping by. It's in room 233. Next slide. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, okay, thank you.